All right, all right, all right. Hey, Colin, what does the UFC legendary Octagon announcer Bruce Buffer say?
Bruce Buffer says, "It's time."
Yeah, he does. And we have a special recording of him saying something else, don't we?
Oh, yes, we sure
Yeah,
do.
why don't we roll that right now?
Hello, my legendary friends. This is Bruce Buffer reminding you that you can't be a legend without being a loser.
Yeah, how do you like that? Bruce Buffer from the UFC. You can't be a legend without being a loser.
Subscribe on iTunes now.
Or Stitcher.
Or
So why do we want to start off today by talking about Bruce Buffer, Colin?
well, there's so many reasons why we want to. I mean, let's start off with the fact that he's recorded some legendary sound bites for us.
Yeah, that was a soundbite from Bruce Buffer, and he was cool enough to do that for us. And
We should give him the plug right now.
yeah, let's give him all kinds of plugs right now.
Yeah,
But
what?
let's.
Are we gonna
Well,
plug him or not?
Yeah, well, we're gonna tickle Bruce's nuts a lot, I think, today.
Whoa! We didn't say
well-
anything about tickling Bruce's nuts.
Well, maybe you are then. Maybe you can do it. Remember? Do you ever remember that old show on TV, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom? Remember that?
Very well. Love that show. Like a lot of lions eating giraffes.
Yeah, but my favorite part of the show. Do you remember the name of the host?
Oh,
Come on, Colin. Okay, everybody listening in is like,
no. Oh, Cromwell?
no,
Oh, fuck. No, I don't know.
Marlon Perkins.
Oh.
Yeah, and the thing about Marlon, so Marlon wasn't like,
Did he have an accent?
I don't remember. I was a kid when I watched the show, but the thing that I remember about Marlon, he sort of looked like Colonel Sanders, and
He did. What wasn't he a narrator? Like you saw him?
well, no, he was.
He was
part of,
he was
the host, and he'd
Right,
be
right,
like, they'd be on an African safari or whatever. But unlike, what was that Australian guy? Why am I blanking on his name? The guy who unfortunately died a few years ago.
Paul.
Steve.
No, Paul.
No, he was unbelievable. He was that wildlife TV show guy. Fuck. Anyway, he was awesome. And but Marlon Perkins wasn't like him, where he, the Australian guy was like interacting with the animals, right? Marlon was the guy on the Jeep. And he would always stand there and he'd say, "Watch now as my assistant Jim tries to circumcise this angry water buffalo." And it was always Jim that was interacting with the animals and getting smashed in the head by a fucking donkey or lion or something. And Marlon was like, I'll just stay here on the Jeep and smoke these cigarettes while Jim. Oh, fuck. How do we get off on that? I don't know.
That was a big zebra that we followed into the jungle.
We just followed that zebra right into the jungle. But our guest today on the show is none other than the veteran voice of the UFC Octagon, Bruce Buffer.
Well, we were going to plug him. That's how we started.
Plugging him.
Yeah.
So we got an incredibly special show. But, off the top, before we get to Bruce, we do have to say a huge thank you. We have been incredibly blown away and stoked and even slightly humbled by the incredible response to Legends and Losers, haven't we, Colin?
We sure have.
And we just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's listening.
Very touched.
Yeah, we're patting our hearts. For those of you who are iTuning it still, you could watch us on iTunes if you want to watch two dudes talking to each other over the interweb.
It's way more fun to watch.
Hey, we invested a lot in the Legends and Losers studio and all this steezy shit I have behind me, just so that you'd have something more interesting than a bald fuck to look at.
That is the wall of steez.
Yes, and I have a secret weapon who helped create the wall of steez. But we really wanted to say thank you to everybody because every show our number of downloads increases pretty significantly. And as of this taping, we are doubling our number of subscribers approximately every 2 weeks. And so your word of mouth, you sharing with people about Legends and Losers, you subscribing, and you writing reviews have made a huge difference. And, all three, of course, but in the digital world, the subscriptions and the reviews really matter, don't they, Colin?
So much, bro.
Yeah. So, we're just grateful that you're helping us build this platform for real, authentic, and raw dialogue about how to design a legendary life and a legendary business. And we just, all of you who do that, just bless you and thank you. And you stoke us and inspire us to keep doing Legends and Losers. And so thank you.
Well, do we want to say thank you to a couple of people here specifically?
Yeah, we had some friends who've sent us some toys lately, some that are fun. So I spoke in January for Timmy Tim Tim. If you guys remember Tim Rode on one of our early episodes, he's the founder of One Life Fully Lived. Go check out the show. It's a great show. Timmy's incredible. But he's also the founder of this organization called GoBundance, which is a group of high-powered dudes. It's a dude-only event or organization, and they get together. These high-powered business guys get together, and they talk about motivational shit and goals, and they get each other all stoked up. And then they do this adventure stuff. They go skiing. I was at this thing in Whistler. And they also actually a big part of what GoBundance is about is how these entrepreneurs and business owners can give back. And so it's a really special organization. And so as a little thank you, our friends at GoBundance sent me this very serious man knife. Look at that. And this is a very cool knife from our friends at Cutco. A lot of guys we know are from Cutco. And see, there's the GoBundance logo on one side.
Yeah, I can't see it. It's too small. Bring it closer.
There it is. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
The GoBundance logo. And then on that side, it says Chris Lochhead, legendary category creator on the knife.
Now turn it more a little bit. I need a little bit more on the light reflection so to see the other side.
I don't know. Is that
there
a little dark? Yeah. Okay. So there it is. So I really want to say thank you to Mike McCarthy, Pat Hibben, Tim Rode, and David Osborne, and all the guys at GoBundance, because I love GoBundance. And I got some of them coming to Santa Cruz to do a half-day workshop with me on category design soon. So that's really cool. And I really like this knife. And then our friend Jon Berghoff. Jon is unbelievable. I was recently, he is filling in for Hal Elrod, the legendary Hal Elrod, who is the author of The Miracle Morning, one of the biggest selling books of the last several years. Mm-hmm. And Hal is beating cancer right now. And so he's been not doing as much as he would normally do. And so Jon took over his podcast for a while, Achieve Your Goal. I think it's Achieving Your Goals, Hal Elrod's podcast. And just huge following, one of the biggest podcasts out there. And I guess because Hal was away and he couldn't stop Jon from making a bad decision, Jon decided to have me on the show. And that was awesome. And I also did a webinar with a mastermind group that Jon is one of the leaders of, called the Quantum Leap Mastermind Team. Mm-hmm. Anyway, to thank me for all that, and frankly, I should be thanking them. So thank you for including me. You guys are amazing. Jon sent me, something that actually goes very well with the knife, which is this. And for those of you not watching on YouTube, you want to describe this thing here, Colin?
Yeah, it looks like is it iron?
Yeah, it feels like it's iron. It might be steel. I don't know, but
it looks like sort of like cast iron, and it's like it's a little bomb.
But like it's a bomb, like an old school pirate bomb, or like
a cartoon bomb.
Yeah, exactly, like you might see on Bugs Bunny.
And then on the front of the bomb is a type-faced F, as in Frank.
So Berghoff sent me an F-bomb. And it's a very serious paperweight. So, if somebody comes into the studio and tries to do something nefarious, I can throw the F-bomb at them and then pull out the GoBundance knife and finish them off. we're very ramped up today because we're talking with a fight legend. So you'll have to excuse me.
Speaking of fight legend,
yeah. So today's a special show. Now you might be thinking, legends and losers. Why are we talking about fights? And why do we have Bruce Buffer on? Why would we do that, Colin?
Well, because fights are the epitome of legends and losers.
Right?
I mean, come on.
And
the epitome of our motto, which is you can't be a legend without being a loser.
Well, yeah, and of course we had Colton Brown on recently, the U.S. Olympic judo fighter who is hopefully going to go to 2020 and win gold for us. If you hadn't had a chance to check out the Colton show, Colton's story is so inspiring, and the story, his whole story, his life story, and the story in particular of how he originally made the Olympic team is, it's the judo version of how the Patriots won the Super Bowl this year. I mean, it is that kind of a story. Anyway, so Colin and I are huge fight fans. We also thought, wouldn't Legends and Losers be a great name for a gym, a boxing gym?
Of course it would.
And, the thing about martial arts or boxing is, or any kind of combat sports, two women go into the octagon and one of them comes out, and one's a legend and one's a loser. And you can go from legend to loser really quickly in the fight world, can't you, Colin?
Oh, yeah. Well, just ask Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, it's a shame. I'm still holding out some hope that she'll come back, but we'll see. Anyway, with all that said, the UFC is the fastest growing sports league in the world, and mixed martial arts is become incredibly popular over the last 10 years or so. And Bruce Buffer is the category king of the center of the octagon, isn't he?
Oh, yes, he sure is.
So why don't you tell us about the UFC's veteran voice of the octagon?
Bruce Buffer is the half-brother of the boxing and professional wrestling ring announcer Michael Buffer, who you might know from the Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
One of the greatest catchphrases of all time.
And so Bruce is the president and CEO of their company, the Buffer Partnership. Both are grandsons of the boxer Johnny Buff. Buffer holds a black belt in Tang Soo Do. Is that it?
Yep.
And has fought as a kickboxer.
He's actually, I think he has several Dan black belt. But anyway, he's a badass for sure.
So he moves to Malibu, California with his family at the age of 15 and befriends two Chuck Norris students who introduced him to Tang Soo Do, in which he holds a second-degree black belt. He began kickboxing in his 20s, but was forced to give up the sport at the age of 32 after suffering his second concussion.
Which is so smart. I mean, a lot of fighters get concussed and they keep going. And I've had 2 concussions myself, and man, they are no fun.
So Bruce, he also became a world-class poker player. He's world-rated. He's on the professional circuit and has appeared on ESPN's World Series of Poker main event. How's that?
So let's just unpack this for a second. He is a second-degree black belt and kickboxer. So, badass, hanging out with Chuck Norris. And on top of that, he is a world-ranked, world-rated, and has competed at the highest levels in poker. And he's the UFC Octagon announcer. Like, it's working out great for Bruce, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and he's his brother's manager.
Yeah, and it sounds like he and his brother have a great relationship, which is awesome. And he also hosts, pretty much our favorite fight podcast, right?
Hey, that's my line.
Okay, sorry. I'm stealing your lines again?
Stealing my line.
What did Freddie Ramone say?
He said, hey, let's go.
All right. Well, why don't you tell him about the podcast?
He's also the host of the It's Time podcast.
And what's the name of his book, Colin?
It's Time.
He's got a theme going.
It's awesome.
And do you want to tell everybody how we met Bruce?
Yeah, so Bruce offers this great service on brucebuffer.com where he will do your fight intro for you. So, taking Chris as an example, he would say, "And Christopher Lochhead fighting in the red corner, and then Colin Vincent fighting in the blue corner." And he does his all the stats on the fighter, and then he whichever person you want to be the champion, he'll make you the champion.
Yeah, whichever weight class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does these custom fight intros for people. He calls them championship intros, I think is what he calls them on his website. Championship intros. And for $99, he'll do that. And so when we saw that on brucebuffer.com a couple months ago, what was the thought we had, Colin?
We thought, how awesome would it be if we had Bruce doing sound bites custom for our podcast?
And so we sent an email through to them, and we sort of said, "Hey, would Bruce be willing to do a custom soundbite for us, right?" Yep. And then what happened?
And then he did it, and then we asked him to be. Well, you asked him to be on the show, and he accepted, and I couldn't believe it. And then he showed up today.
Yeah, and the fun thing about that, I think, well, there's a lot of fun things about that, but
and he was awesome.
Yeah, our discussion with Bruce was just so much fun. But the cool thing about it was, first of all, he said yes, right? He doesn't know us from a hole in the wall, and the other thing that's really cool is I think it's an example. It's an example of the fact that nothing happens unless you ask for it, right? And so when he did the voiceover work for us, which we love and think is completely cool, I just threw in after we got our stuff back from Bruce. I just said, "Hey, we're huge fans. We love him. We know this is probably a stretch, and we know he gets 1 million requests, all the time to be in the media. But is there any way Bruce would come on Legends and Losers?" And he said yes. And so here we are.
I'm still in shock. It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
And what a great time we had, huh?
All right. So without any further ado, our legendary friends, here's our dialogue with Bruce Buffer. All right. Well, Bruce Buffer, how did you become the voice of the Octagon?
It's kind of a long story, and that's why I wrote my book, It's Time, so I could, put all these, what happened in my life over the last 21 years, because only 2 months ago I celebrated my 21-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was the first fight I ever did was UFC 8 in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. And previous to that, I managed my brother's career, the great Michael Buffer, the legendary greatest announcer of all time, known for the "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" phrase. We've been partners, and I've been his manager for probably 25 plus years. And I always made it a point to get him in all the happening big things, in sports and entertainment, which at the time the UFC came out, it was the fastest growing pay-per-view and me with in history, I think, as far as how fast it was growing. And me with my martial arts background and my fight background, it was tailor-made for my own interest and fandom. But my obligation was to get my brother in, which I did for UFC 6, 7, and Ultimate. And then we had an issue with the WCW Wrestling League, which I had a huge contract with him for, because they made him come out and say, if it's not in the Octagon, it's not real, right?
Oh, wow.
I knew I was going to get a call that Monday.
You think Dana White would not like that?
Well, actually, Dana was not the owner back then.
Of course.
Yeah, the owner was Robert Meyerowitz, who was the original owner, along with Jorge and Gracie. And I'm going back to the days when Hoy came out at UFC 1 and shocked the world with what he did. But I had to make an agreement with WCW because the contract was much too big for Michael. And Michael could not have continued at the pace that he was doing other events that I had him doing too. Long story cut short, it was time for him. He couldn't continue. And so I tried to convince them that they needed a buffer in the Octagon, that my media contacts and everything I knew and people I knew in sports and entertainment, I would help them build the brand. In order to do that, I needed to be the announcer so I could grow with the company, at the same time mature and get my act together, because my whole goal was never to be Frank Sinatra Jr. and just be another potential Michael Buffer, like so many announcers copy Michael at that time. I wanted to create my own style. And I set a goal for myself that if I got the job, then if within 3 years I didn't create my own individual style and where I wanted to take this, then I was not going to be one of those announcers that was going to work for a paycheck and a good seat at the house. So I really would have walked away, to be honest with you. But everything started going great. The UFC started taking off. And then when Dana White and the Fertitta brothers took it over in the year 2000, I'd already been involved for 4 years and established myself at that point. And I've done every single show until about a few years ago when there were so many shows that there's been a couple of announcers that fill in for me when I can't make shows, whether it's 5 shows a year or whatever the case might be. But I'll do every show. If I can be there, I want to do every show.
and how do you do that? I mean, the UFC's in Dubai, and then 15 minutes later, it's in Australia, and of course, all over the US. And every time we tune in and you're there, we think, holy shit, what is Buffer, like a magician? Or is he like a Star Trek? Do you have a Star Trek machine, or how do you do that?
I'll tell you something. I've actually fantasized about having one of those Star Trek teleporters, because if that was the case, that would be great. The hardest part of this job is not the job itself. I love that. I'm passionate about it. I think that can be told and seen by the way I announce. And when that passion wanes, you're going to hear that's when I retire. That's when I retire. When my passion's not there anymore to do what I love to do so much and organically get in there and enhance that moment for the fighters and the fans watching, then it's not the job for me anymore. It's time for somebody else to go in there and do it instead. But that's not going to happen. My passion.
We hope that day never comes, Bruce.
Well, it's going to come sometime. Life is life, But I mean, you're stuck with me for the next 10 years, so all good. And then, is that Steve McQueen in the Mustang right there?
That sure is. That's him in the Bullet Mustang pulling out. Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Well, he was a good friend of mine the last 6 years of his life. We were neighbors in Malibu.
No way.
Well, could you tell us a little bit about that, Bruce? I know we don't have you for that long, but tell us about Steve McQueen.
Well, let me finish the other thing.
Yeah.
Where was I with that? Where was I with the other thing?
You're talking about developing your own style and that you didn't want to retire until, the passion ran out.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's getting stronger. As long as the UFC will have me, you're stuck with me. I love the new owners, Ari Emanuel, Patrick Whitestall, everybody at WME. To me, I think it's the greatest move made, and lots are in store for us. So life is good, wonderful with the UFC, love the UFC. It's my number one thing to do in my life. Of course, I do a lot of other things too. So that's going to continue. And getting back to Steve McQueen. Yeah, they just found in Mexico what they think is the one of 2 Bullet cars made for the movie Bullet.
Wow.
And it's actually been repainted a couple times. The transmission is gone, but it would still be worth a tremendous amount of money, because Steve McQueen memorabilia, who's one of the greatest film stars of all time in classic Hollywood, a true movie star.
Yep.
Today, where people are famous for being famous, not so much for their talent, although there's a lot of fine, talented actors out there, but I'm talking movie stars, okay? So they got a line on it. They're going through it. They're checking everything. But I called Chad, his son, who's one of my best friends, and I said, Chad, I just read about this. He goes, I know, Buff. I know, we're on it. He goes, I kind of think right now that it's not real. I don't think it's the Bullet car, but we're going to do our research, work with the guy. If it is the actual car used in Bullet, which was more of the stunt car, this one they're supposedly found, then so be it, and powers that be, all the best. But if it's not real through our research, then we're going to squash this. So he's doing his due diligence right now. Steve McQueen's collectibles sell for incredible. I'm a big collector of movie memorabilia, sports memorabilia. It's one of my other businesses and hobbies and passion. So Steve McQueen, here's an example of what his memorabilia goes for. Now, he gave me a jacket when I was a teenager, a green tweed jacket, which I kept, and it didn't fit me after a while. And like an idiot, which I should have known better, I gave it away. Well, the jacket he wore in the movie Bullet, that's in the poster, the green tweed jacket, that was valued at $800,000. It went up for auction. The bidding got to $725,000, and it didn't sell because it didn't meet the reserve. In an auction, there's a reserve.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Tag Heuer watch, there's a documentary on called Steve McQueen, The Man Le Mans. If you're a McQueen fan, don't miss it. Go to Netflix, watch it. It's incredible. The Tag Heuer watch from the movie Le Mans sold for $750,000.
Wow.
His fire suit sold for $750,000. His last wife, Barbara Minty, who got a lot of his material when he passed away, he sold the Persol blue lens glasses from the Thomas Crown affair.
Oh, wow.
Not for $35,000. Chad and I had a laugh about that because Chad said, I don't think those are the original glasses, because when you walked into Steve's house, he had a little wicker basket by the front door. there was like 6 of those glasses sitting in the basket.
So he just liked those glasses.
Oh, he loved those glasses. Yeah, he was a very cool cat. They called him Mr. Cool, and I'm very proud to have known him and been his friend. And a lot of memories go on there. So that's my little Steve McQueen.
That's awesome.
So
Bruce.
I write about him in my book. It's in my book. It's time. I actually talk about him in the book because it meant a lot to me back then.
Incredible. And yeah, we think he's emblematic of what a movie star man should be, right?
Yes, sir. That's it. Man's man all the way. Trust me, all the way. He was not into hanging out in the Hollywood scene. He would rather ride his motorcycles, with his buddies and do a lot of his own stunts. And they prevented him from doing stunts. That jump in The Great Escape.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Everybody thinks that Steve did that. No, it wasn't him. It was a stuntman named, if I'm not mistaken, Bud Elkins, whose son was also one of our group, our clan back then, surfer boys that we were. And he did the actual jump on that motorcycle. The insurance purposes, they wouldn't let Steve McQueen.
Yeah, how could they, right? Even kill himself or something horrible. Yeah.
You got some awesome stuff on your wall there, Bruce, huh?
Oh yeah, behind me. I collect movie memorabilia. This one right there, that's the original poster from Dr. No.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
the other one.
The other one is the story they did on my On Fighters Only, that cover story I had years ago.
Yep.
The popping. I didn't write that line. I didn't say that line, guys. Popping bottles and kissing models. That was not me. That was Fighters Only putting that on the cover.
It sounds like something you could have said, though.
Yeah, I've had my nights. So
Show us your shirt, Bruce.
Yeah, were you wearing something special today?
Roots of Fight. Yeah, here I'm.
Oh yeah, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Roots of Fight makes the best material. I get my little care package once a year, and I love it.
Roots of Fight, fantastic. We'll have to get ourselves clothed appropriately.
Yeah, rootsoffight.com. That's awesome, and the material they make, it's great. I usually wear clothes when I travel. You'll see me like, Bruce, what do you wear? Where do you get your tuxes? You know what I wear when I'm not wearing a tux? A company called Lululemon. You ever hear of Lululemon?
Yeah, absolutely.
I could wear that all day long.
My wife lives in Lululemon, and I swear to God, there's a law here in Santa Cruz where I live that at least 30% of the women have to be in Lululemon pants at all times.
I kind of would vote for that law. It's all
yeah,
good.
we're big fans.
Are you an ambassador, Bruce?
No, I'm not. They should make me a spokesperson. That's how much I wear. The money I spend there and everything, plus my family and Christmas. You know what they got? It was Lululemon care packages, baby. I went one-stop shopping over at Lululemon. You hear that story that the CEO of Lululemon had to resign? I know you guys talk a lot of business. Here's a business example for you. They came out with a new yoga pant, right? Now, you got to do your research. You got to do your market research before you distribute something. The yoga pant was for women. The problem was when they bent over in yoga class, the pants spread and you could see through and see everything. The CEO
now, I thought that was a feature, Bruce.
No, well, that might have been a feature for what you would like to think about in your yoga classes, but no, it's not supposed to happen. The CEO lost his job, the whole bit. And this was just a few years ago.
Yeah, it was certainly a crazy story, but it's interesting to see that that's what Bruce Buffer likes to wear when you're outside the octagon.
When you're on as many planes as I am, you want to be in pajama wear. And you know what? I can wear, they have pants, you can wear it at night. God, Lulu, you better make me a spokesperson.
They should send you some money.
Lululemon. We'll leave it at that.
So we have to ask you, how did you develop the Buffer 180?
It was a mistake. It was an absolute mistake. The first number of years, I thought you had to stand in the middle like everybody else and be poised and work on your voice. That's not me. I've got this tiger inside. I like to move. I know what it's like to bang. I know what it's like to step across from somebody and throw punches and take punches. And I want to announce these fighters the way I would want to be announced I was fighting. And I felt that I was missing something. So finally, I just said, you know what? I got to move. So then I started developing my style, going into the corners and getting them excited. So with the movement I made around the octagon, because I know that octagon like a basketball player knows his half court. I know exactly where I am at every given moment, right? So I was looking at the red corner when I was saying introducing first, fighting out of I was about to say fighting out of the blue corner. And I always had a good spinning bottom fist when I was fighting. So I just threw myself into a spinning bottom fist and I went, fighting, over to the blue.
Yeah.
And then the crowd reacted. I got back to my seat and I go, you know what? there's something's there. So I started to do it, and that's a 180 move. So now when I do the main event, introducing first, fighting, like that out of the blue corner. So
oh, we know, Bruce. Every Saturday night at my house.
There you go.
And so it came from your ability to throw a good uppercut.
That was a spinning back fist or spinning bottom fist.
Spinning back fist. Yeah, okay.
If you watch my moves, there's sometimes uppercuts thrown, jabs thrown. Guys, I don't know what I'm going to do till I do it. Life to me and being the best you can be is about being organic. It's about being real. And if I rehearse in the shower and go like, Chuck, the Iceman Liddell. No. I'm not going to say a man's name in the shower ever in my life, okay? Bottom line is that I don't rehearse because there's rehearsal voice, rehearsal actions, and then there's the live performance. So I'd rather go in and do the live performance, make it real, not just for the fans and the fighters. I need to enjoy what I do. I'm like a kid in a candy store when I'm in there. I want to have fun. I'm not going to travel the world 35 plus times a year, sacrifice being away from my family and my loved ones, all it takes to be on the road. Again, the hardest part is travel. That's the hardest part of this job. And so that Star Trek teleporter, I can't wait. I hope it lives long enough for it to happen because I'll definitely need it in about 10 or 15 years. Trust me.
Elon Musk is working on that right now.
Yeah. What else is he not working on?
Yeah, exactly. The other thing we have to ask you, Bruce, is your reputation amongst fans is absolute platinum. I mean, anybody I've ever heard who's met you and asked to take a selfie or shake your hand or something, and we know you're a huge poker player, of course, a world-class poker player. And so you're very visible at UFC events. You're very visible, when you're out in the world. How is it that you're so incredible with your fans when so many celebrities are, frankly, exactly the opposite?
Well, I have a theory in life. Anybody doesn't sign an autograph or take a picture with a fan, which is the reason we are where we are and the reason we get our paychecks and all. If the fans are being respectful, then that person's an a-hole. It's really that simple, right? And I remember walking through the lobby of hotels and through arenas back 21 years ago when it was crickets. The fighters weren't getting asked, or I wasn't getting asked. And then, of course, with the popularity, everything changed. One thing in life, business and otherwise, never forget where you came from. And when I was 5 years old, and again, I talk about this in my book, is another very important thing in my life. I was around 5. And I was in Philadelphia with my older brother, Brian, and we were at a Marriott hotel having lunch with my parents. And this tall Afro-American, walked in who I recognized from TV and all because my dad had me watching boxing literally out of the womb. Okay, he's born, sit down, Saturday night fights, right? Literally watching, teaching me boxing, teaching me fighting when I was 4 and 5 years old, telling me I'm going to have to learn this because somebody's going to pick on me and make sure I punch the bully right between the eyes. And whether I lose the fight or not, punch, don't stop, right? So he says, otherwise you regret it the rest of your life. So I had this whole thing, and here walks in this tall man whose name was Cassius Clay. Now, this was before he was Muhammad Ali. Okay? And so he spent 5 minutes talking to my brother and Brian and I, right? And I never forgot that for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Another instance, the great actor John Wayne, okay? A movie came out named True Grit, and I was living in Dallas, Texas at the time. Again, my brother Brian and I were sitting in the theater because in those days when they had premieres, you had to buy the tickets ahead. It was the biggest thing. We didn't have cable. We had 3 channels, black and white turning color. We didn't have remote control until we finally got the thing that you went, and it changed the channel. Remember, I'm going to be 60 in May, so I've been around for a while. So
might we say you look fantastic?
Thank you. I just played poker till 4 a.m. last night, guys. I had a game in my poker room here in my house, so I'm a little poker. I'm feeling good though.
How'd you do? Can we ask?
Okay, I'll tell you the truth. At this game, I was up about $3,000, and then the classic hand came. Well, let me tell you the John Wayne story real quick.
Yeah. Okay.
You give me segue. I'm gonna.
Sorry, it's just so exciting. You got so much to share.
No, I don't mind telling you the hand. I'll tell you the hand because you're gonna love this one. So, we're at True Grit, the premiere, and the place is full. And down comes Glenn Campbell, the co-star, and John Wayne. Glenn Campbell, all respect. I wasn't there for Glenn Campbell, right? John Wayne walks down. I'm about 8 years old or 10 years, something around there. I forget exactly. And then he walks down and I yell out. I'm on the corner seat. And I yell, "Hey, Duke," right? Because his name's Duke, right?
Of course.
You talk about a 180. He spun around and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, little pilgrim." My brother and I are like,
no way.
God. And those 2 instances really have an effect on me for how I treat the fans. Respectful, man laws. Don't follow me in the bathroom. That's happened. Cameras out. You don't do that, right? But as respectful. And of course, I mean, we're here because of the fans. The fans are what make us great. We have to do the best job we can to please the fans. The UFC and MMA fans are some of the greatest fans in the world. They're passionate. They follow us. I can't thank them enough. So how can I possibly thank them? Whether it's the voiceover that I do on my site for them, whether it's signing autographs, taking pictures. Again, I'm all about the fans, guys. All about the fans.
And it's really come through. We hear about it all the time from other fans. We have some friends who are fighters. The fighters clearly love you.
Oh, that's cool.
And it came through in how you did our voiceover. And so that was awesome. We also have to ask you while we still have you.
Wait, do you want to know about the poker hand?
Oh, well, duh, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, there's too many exciting things to talk about. So last night, what happened?
All right, so we're having a friendly game.
Friendly.
There's a lot of money on the table. And so basically, I woke up with pocket tens, right? And there was one guy that was short stack with his last, at that table with his last, 1,000 or whatever he had in front of him. And another guy to my left. So he pushed all in, right? So the flop that came on the board was 9-7 rag, like a 3, rainbow. No flush possibilities, no nothing. So I went ahead and I, of course, pushed all in. And then the guy who had more chips than I had to my left, and who's an animal, pushed all in. So now we're 3-way all in. There's a lot of money in this pot, right? I beat the guy that went all in. His hand is inconsequential. It was like ace king. He didn't pull. He had to do what he did. Runner straight. Runner straight. It came like another 8, and then a 6 or whatever, any bottom line. I don't remember exactly, but my 10s did not hold. I had the best hand going in, as we all know what that's like in poker. And then he got the runner on the turn, and then the 2-outer on the river, and bye-bye Miss American Pie. So, but it's okay. I the one thing about cash games other than tournaments, when you lose your chips in tournaments, you got to walk away from the table. When you lose your money in a cash game, you can reload. So I reload.
Especially when it's in your own house, right?
Absolutely. Warrior spirit, never give up. So I walked away winning. It was all good.
So at the end of the night, you were up?
I'm a happy camper. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Sure.
And we have to ask you about a couple of fight stories. Are there any that sort of pop to mind, great UFC stories you want to share with us, great things about fighters?
I wrote that book because I had to remember what I potentially had forgotten. Honestly, It's like asking me, with all respect, it's like asking me what the best fight I've ever seen is. It's impossible for me to answer that because every time I think I've seen the greatest fight, 3 months later, 2 weeks later, I see the greatest fight. I mean, you think about Shogun Rua and Danny Henderson when they fought those wars.
So amazing.
Even going back to the old days, Randy Couture, Randy Couture and Vitor Belfort, the wars they had. I'd go Randy Couture. He's the only fighter I ever bowed to in the Octagon because he's royalty to me.
Yeah.
He, to me, if you ask me, there's so many great, Chuck Liddell and even Tito Ortiz, what he brought to the table, all these great warriors in the past. Randy Couture to me is the greatest role model of all time, both inside and outside the Octagon, where he continued his career when he stopped fighting. He is Captain America to me, and that's why I bowed to him that one time in Portland, I think it was, at 103, if I'm not mistaken, because I thought it was going to be his last fight.
Right.
And I've never bowed to anybody. But that was royalty to me. And that's what I try to bring to these guys. I mean, when these fighters, and thank you for saying that the fighters you talk to respect me and all that, because I'll always cash the paycheck, okay? I'm the first one at the bank on Monday. I'm cashing the paycheck, okay? But I'm not about the paycheck. I am, but I'm not. I'm about this beautiful, wonderful life I'm humbled by being able to wake up and be the voice of the Octagon every day I wake up. I never forget it. Saturday night when I was in London and I stepped in the Octagon, and I did what I did, that was my first night to prove myself. You guys can say, oh, you did the 360 at UFC 100, you did this, you did that. I don't live on my laurels, guys. I'm not about that. I got to show them Buffalo in 3 weeks. That's my first UFC. If I can't do my job right that night, somebody else ought to be doing my job, okay? I got to go out and do it then. That's just the way I am. That's the fervor and the passion I work with that keeps me going and keeps me young in this game.
Well, and the amazing thing to us, Bruce, is like you never flub a fighter's name.
No. It's happened, but less than I can count on 2 hands. I've made mistakes. But
in well over 100 UFCs, I mean,
it's very rare, very rare. Yeah,
you really get it right, and you can just feel the commitment that you have to the fighters and to the fans. It's
what really, the hardest name to say is?
What?
Tell us.
What do you think? What do you think the hardest fighter's name for me to say? You think it's the big long Russian Nurmagomedovs and the Japanese names? It's Mike Swick. It's Frank Crick. The single syllable names. It's like you got to make them work. Give me as many syllables as as crazy spelling, whatever I put on phonetics on my cards, and let me go for it. Those single syllable names are the hardest ones, trying to hold those notes.
Well, you seem to do really well on those long, all those ones.
The more the better. Exactly.
And when do you think we'll see the Buffer 360 come back? Is there a plan there? Or?
I think when my ACL returns sometimes in my left leg, which I severed 7 months ago, and I'm working and training to live without. I'm rehab 2-3 times a week, 3-hour rehab sessions. Everything's going great. But that's why you haven't seen me jump for the last 7 months. The 360 was done one time. Thank you, Joe Rogan, for pushing me and the fans for pushing me. But, when you do something once and it's that in my little niche of world of what I've done in my life, and it's that kind of monumental for my situation, you don't do it again. You do it one time, one and done, boys.
Like a magician.
That was that was an aerial 360. I don't mean an aerial Hawani 360. That was an aerial 360, and I've done it on the ground. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do till I do it, but no more of that. I'm working on one leg, guys, and I'm doing a pretty good job. I'm just
maybe a backspin, like a little break dance.
What's that?
Maybe like a backspin.
I could do a judo roll. Who knows what I'm going to do in the future? Come on, I'm going to be 60 in May. It's like I'm not an acrobat. I'm an announcer.
But you're also a martial artist, and you're in great shape. So
thanks.
And then we need to ask you, what's your take on Conor and Floyd?
I think it's going to happen. If you asked me 3 months ago, I would say I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's more relevant now than ever. What you have, though, is you've got a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And everybody comes together. You're going to see a fight that there isn't a fight fan, MMA, boxing, or even just curious is not going to want to watch this fight. Will it do 4.5 million buys like the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight where the fight didn't meet the hype? I don't know about that, but it'll definitely do north of 3 million to 4 million. And probably they'll charge over $100 for it. The big question is when it is signed and when it does happen, chances are, guys, it's not going to be there's a possibility that it's not going to be like a night of UFC, going into that. It's going to be a boxing fight. And depending on how it's negotiated, it might be a Showtime produced fight. It could be somebody else producing it. So the fight will happen. I don't know how it's going to turn out and how it's going to be presented and everything else, but we're all going to watch it. And hopefully I get to announce it or share the ring at the time with whoever is announcing. It'd be great to do that with my brother, Michael. It'd be awesome.
Well, that was, of course, where we're going. It's like, who are we going to see? Who are we going to see in the middle of the ring that night?
Whoever it is, and if I get to share it, watch out because I'm going to bring it.
I mean, doesn't not to bring religion into it, but doesn't the good Lord need to make sure that it's you and Michael kind of co-doing this somehow?
Whenever I say God bless and you hear me say it, that means whoever your God is, I hope he blesses you. So whatever Lord's in charge of this one, I'm putting in my bid right now. I'd like to share it, not just to support Conor and be there for Conor as much as I want to, because I like Conor a lot. This kid was 18 when I first met him or so in Dublin, and I was doing a show, and he had no beard, and this little kid came up, "Hey, Bruce, my name is Conor McGregor. I'm going to be champion someday. You're going to be announcing me." Believe it, right? You got that kind of fortitude, and he's done what he's done. This is Conor's world, and we live in it, okay, right now.
And how would you compare him to, say, Ronda or Brock Lesnar in terms of his importance to the sport?
Sensations, breaking the mold, bringing to the table what they bring to. We know Brock's story. We know Ronda's story. We're living Conor's story now. And Conor has the most amazing it factor of anybody I've seen literally in the history of the UFC and what he's bringing to the table. When Conor talks, people listen. When Conor talks, he backs it up. He walks the walk. He talks the talk. Everybody's interested, and that's why you're going to see one of the biggest fights ever when this happens. Is it good for boxing? Is it good for MMA? Is it good for sports? Whatever, we'll find out. But you know what? We're going to pay the price. We're going to watch it, and let's see what happens.
And, do you think that they'll be able to get the contract sorted? Because it sounded to me like there was a huge discrepancy between where they were financially.
Everybody talks about this, and everybody thinks, okay, Mayweather made 300 million, Mayweather made 100, whatever. 4.5 million people bought that fight. Well, 1.5 million or more of those people will never buy another pay-per-view fight because of the way that fight turned out. Right? The fight did not meet the hype. This is just my opinion. Okay. Dana White put an offer on the table of $25 million to each fighter, and everybody goes, "Oh, well, that's not 100." Read between the lines. That was before the pay-per-view split. Okay.
Right.
This fight's going to make so much money potentially and guesstimatingly. It could be 75, 100 million or more for each fighter beyond the 25 million guarantee. So where's the problem? Sign this, like Floyd says, sign the paper. Make it happen. I thought Dana made a great offer, but obviously I'm not a powers that be, guys. I'm not privileged to this information.
Of course.
Find out about it when you find out about it. I do believe it's going to happen. That's all I can tell you.
And do you have any kind of a prediction? I know you don't love to make those predictions, but
I'm all about, I'm sorry to step on you. I'm all about may the best fighter win. May the best man win. People ask me all the time, who's going to win? GSP, Michael Bisping. May the best man win, right? Breaking it down. Conor opens up at a 25-1 underdog. You get 11-1 if you bet on Conor. I never am into betting fights for obvious reasons. I like to just be an equal opportunity announcer, but I'll tell you something. I'd put money on Conor because if Conor hits him, that left hand takes heads off.
Yeah.
But all due purposes, Mayweather's the great boxer that he is. And,
can he hit him?
Yeah. I don't think Mayweather's going to knock Conor out, but don't forget the fact that Mayweather knocked out another UK fighter named Ricky Hatton, right? Just a number of years ago. Anything can happen. It's a fight. Anything can happen. Let's just hope it's a good fight, an entertaining fight. I'm happy they're both making tons of money. You put your blood, sweat, and tears on the line. I think everybody from an undercard fighter to you name it should make $1 million+ a year. You're fighting, you deserve it.
Yeah. And what do you think? Are we going to see a return for John Jones to glory, or what do you think happens with him over time?
Out of the Octagon, in the Octagon, no matter what. I mean, to this day, aside from Demetrius Johnson, he's probably the greatest MMA fighter in the world. So
incredible.
I hope so.
And we sure can't wait to see GSP in the Octagon, and you call his name out for the first time in, what is it, 4 or 5 years?
Long time. I blew my ACL on my right leg calling GSP out against Jake Shields, and then GSP blew his ACL 4 months later in training. We both wound up in rehab together after we were operated on by the same doctor. Go figure that.
No way.
Yeah, GSP and I have a lot of history together. When he signed that, we were texting each other the next day. I'm just so excited to get back in the Octagon together. He's a great guy.
That's awesome.
We sure hope it's a great fight. And what do you think about him going up to 185?
He's got balls, man. That's all I can tell you. He's going 185. He's fighting Michael Bisping, who's longer, taller, and a striker and a true, Chuck Liddell, fight anybody, anywhere, anytime fighter. I have a lot of respect for Michael Bisping. It was funny at the press conference. GSP said, "You've been drinking?" And I think Bisping said something like, "Well, I'm English and I'm in Vegas. What do you expect?" I mean, I love Michael.
I'm a fighter in Vegas. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. What do you think about Rashad coming down a weight class?
Incredible. See the physique on him?
I mean, unbelievable.
He lost his fight, but, he's doing what he has to do. I just want fighters to make the money, show the performances, and hopefully don't stay at the dance too long, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So we don't want to keep you too long, Bruce. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we let you go?
Just, I really enjoyed doing the recording I did for your podcast. And if your listeners go to brucebuffer.com, I've got a special there. I've been offered and have been paid a lot of money for these things, but again, it's the fans. I don't want to go into what I said. I've already expressed my feelings for the fans. So Kristen, my partner here in my office and all, we put together this program for $99. You fill out a form, send it in, and I send you a championship introduction as if I'm introducing you in Madison Square Garden or wherever you want to be as the champion on that night in the blue or the red corner. Your choice, nickname your choice. Everything's your choice. And the thank you notes we get back is just amazing. And partial proceeds, I like to make donations to children, animal, and military charities. I do weddings. I do birth of babies, coming out now, all that kind of stuff.
Next baby in our life, Bruce, we're going to have to get you to do a coming out now. And, I just got to say, isn't it great that the internet allows you to do that? In another time, of course, you wouldn't be able to have this connection. And, for $100, we get Bruce Buffer calling out our name. I mean, it's a fun
99. I always tell the truth, 99. Yeah.
It's a great gift, and it's just fun to be able to connect with you. That's how we met you, of course, connect with you on the internet and have you do that. And so that's wonderful.
Thank
you.
All
right, Bruce, anything else?
Just, guys, keep doing what you're doing and promoting this great sport we have, and my best to you and your families for a prosperous, healthy, and happy New Year,
Awesome, Bruce.
So we're saying Happy New Year. We're only in March, so whatever.
Yeah. Well, we got to tell you, we love you. We love what you do in the Octagon. We love how available you are to all us fans. And you really are an incredible, special guy and an icon in martial arts.
And we're going to send you a Legends and Losers t-shirt.
Like it. Hold that thing up. Let me see that thing. I'll take it. Very cool.
What size are you, Bruce?
I'm extra large with emphasis on the legend, hopefully.
The legend's the one in the thicker font. So yeah, that's what we'll do. So
I got it. That's pretty cool, actually. That's pretty cool. I like the way you do that.
Well, we'd be stoked to send you one, and we'll get that done right away. And thank you so much, Bruce. We're huge fans, and be legendary, our friend.
You know what? Just call me Bruce. I just want to do the best job I can. My mom thinks I'm a legend. You think I'm a legend? My day has been fulfilled. I'm good.
Well, we think you're a legend for sure, and I bet she does too.
I'll call her and ask her after the call. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bruce. Be legendary.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bruce Buffer on Legends and Losers.
Bruce Buffer! How great was that?
So awesome. And he's just so affable and easy to be around and has so many great stories. And how great was the Steve McQueen part?
And what a that was awesome. But what a big heart, huh?
Yeah. And the thing that was probably most fun is just seeing how much Bruce loves being Bruce.
Bruce loves being, and he loves the fans.
Yeah.
Bruce loves the fans more than anyone. Right?
Yeah. And, living here in Santa Cruz, we know some professional fighters who happen to live here. And, we kind of get a sense of what Bruce's reputation is around the professional mixed martial arts and UFC world. And you just never hear anything bad about him. And all you ever hear about him is how awesome he is. and now we've experienced it firsthand. So we will forever be huge fans. We were huge fans before, but even more so now. So, all right, why don't we start the outro? And we want to thank you very much for checking out Legends and Losers. If you appreciate the show, please continue to show your appreciation. Make no mistake, you subscribing on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube makes a huge difference. And your reviews drive podcast success. And you've been doing it for Legends and Losers. And because our numbers are doubling. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/Legends and Losers. Where can they find us on Twitter, Colin?
On Twitter, it's Legends Losers.
And if you have to send us email, who should we send email to?
blackhole@legendsandlosers.com.
Maybe the greatest email address ever. And Eva. That's our attempt at our Australian accent. And keep telling all your friends. We really appreciate it.
Tell your friends.
And you're driving us to be a hit show. We have a couple of shout outs we want to do. Why don't you take the first one?
Brian Rocha.
And Hector Santiesteban.
That's a steezy name.
I hope I got it right this time, Hector. I did a shout out to you on another episode, and I think I fucked your name up.
Santiesteban.
Santiesteban.
Right.
If I was named, it's like, my name is Hector Santiesteban. You killed my father. Prepare to die. That's a Princess Bride reference for those of you who don't know. And we really appreciate your legendary review of Play Bigger on Amazon. Also, shout out to my nephew, Jason, and my niece, Holly Zapala. David and Janine Bertelsman for their support, love and support. Christine Rose, KR, thank you for supporting the show. And
Mark Wayland.
Yeah, Mark Wayland.
We love Mark Whalen.
We love Mark Whalen. Shout out to my old colleague and your old. Did you go to Cub Scouts with Mark?
Mark and I grew up 2 blocks away from each other our entire lives, and we went to Boy Scouts together. We went to high school together.
And he's just been a huge supporter of Legends and Losers. And
has he?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You got to start paying attention. Legend. Yeah, he's all about it. All right, we would like to thank Equity Directory, the invite-only network of entrepreneurs and startup talent exchanging work for equity.
HarperCollins' book, Play Bigger, How Pirates, Dreamers, Innovators, and Dreamers.
and dreamers and psychopaths and freaks and geeks and
how pirates, dreamers, and innovators create and dominate markets.
OneLifeFullyLived.org. Dream it, plan it, live it.
Yama, America's first personal martial art.
Cheap Power Arts Healing in Santa Cruz at cheappowerarts.com.
Fathom, legendary marketing services at fathomdelivers.com.
Hal Elrod's amazing bestseller, The Miracle Morning.
Dushka Zapata's best-selling book, How to Be Ferociously Happy, and other essays.
The podcast Onward Nation, an awesome show hosted by our friend Steven Wasner.
Symantec, selling a bag full of doorknobs.
Yes, they are. Doctors Without Borders, you make a donation, we make a difference with the most at-risk people on our planet.
Flourishing Leadership Institute, facilitate positive change.
We'd like to remind you that today's information is provided to you solely for informational purposes. This oddcast is the sole property of the Legends and Losers Oddcast Network, and all oddcasts contain nuts. Objects in car mirrors are likely behind you. Do not pour hot coffee on your crotch. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't punch it in the face for not drinking. The guy who invented the automated soap and water dispensers and I need 20 seconds alone together. The left lane is a passing lane. Hands up, chin down, and our deepest apologies to SAP CEO Bill McDermott. Sorry, Bill, we just ran out of time for you. That's it.
Zero.
Thank you, our legendary friends. We'll see you next time on
Legends and Losers.